You have to look towards what this year, what kind of impact that player will have on this season, of course, and what it's going to happen next year. So if you go out and get a player like a Greg Vaughn, he's been mentioned a number of times, a slugger from Milwaukee. If the Reds can't afford to re-sign him after this year, then why would you give up some prize prospects to rent him for 2 months?
And the other side of it too is that the state that the Reds are in, yes, they're in the pennant race in the Central Division, but it's clear they don't have a wealth of players at the minor league level that they can afford to lose 2 or 3 or 4 of them. Here's the 3-2 to Sabo. 2 broken bats and 2 swings. He'll have to get another piece of lumber. He's going to stick with it, I guess. He thinks it's okay. It sure sounded like he broke it. But for a general manager today, it used to be you made a deal at this time of year because you wanted to stay in a pennant race. You didn't consider the financial ramifications or the minor league ramifications. Now those 2 things often come before the final decision. Yeah, it was broken, and now it's broken for good. Miller has it. 1 away. That was sawed off if there ever was one.
Instant kindling right here for Chris Sabo. I swear I think it broke on the pitch before that. They didn't want to go get another piece of wood.
He's got a pizza paddle now.
That looks exactly like a pizza paddle. Now you're making me hungry. Uh-oh.
It'll take a lot to do that.
They're going to take a look at this bat now. They see something on the inside of this. How about that? That's a stream of cork running right up and down to Chris Sabo's bat. They're going to go in and they're going to eject him from the ball game.
Or that could, well, let's see. Ooh.
Oh, that's bored out in court.
No doubt about that. There's a board in the middle of that.
How about that?
They will. What happens here? Ed Montague will send that piece of bat back into the umpire's room. That will be sent to the league office. So Chris Sabo peering out at Montague.
You know what happened though? The Chris Sabo used a different bat the pitch before. He was up there, he was jammed on that, and with a foul ball he broke his bat. So he looked into the dugout and the bat boy brought out a substitute bat. The bat that he brought out was a corked bat. Whether Chris Sabo meant to use that in a ball game or not, we don't know that. It could be perhaps that he's a victim of circumstance, that he's got a cork bat that they goof around with in batting practice, and that has happened in the past, and he gets caught using it in a ball game and seeing it explode on him. That's about a hitter's worst nightmare, if you know you're cheating and then you know you got caught.
Again, he did break his bat, and I tell you one thing, Chris, you would figure if the bat was deliberately corked and he knew it was corked and he thought it was broken the time before, he wouldn't even take a chance. He'd get rid of it rather than see it splinter open.
Yeah, I can't see him intentionally going out there using a cork bat, especially after the bat boy brought that one out there. Look at Montague is out in the infield now picking up pieces of cork.
Tom Hallion gobbling some up.
All those wine bottles.
Wonder what vintage it was. Wally Bell will take the rest of it. Here's another look.
Watch this ball. Just look at the little pieces of cork coming out of that bat. That is classic. What cork?
So Montague has taken that piece of bat in and brought it to the umpire's room. Sabo will collect his gear, and he has been ejected from the ball game. The way he looked at somebody on the bench and said, "I used your bat and you got me in trouble."
It wouldn't be so bad, but they have his name imprinted on those things.
That is the Real Muto with a 1-1 pitch. Chopped to third. Machado throws him out. Christian Yelich comes up. Talking with Dan Jennings about him prior to the game today. He said, look, this is the first adversity this kid has ever faced as a player. Skyrocketed through the minors after dominating as a high school player. Early draft pick. Had a good season last year as a rookie. But hitting just 178 coming into this one. Dan Jennings out there asking Jordan Baker to go down and talk with the crew chief Paul Emmel about something. Oh boy. Is he calling out his substance on Brian Mattis's arm? Like we saw Will Smith thrown out for a couple of days ago in Milwaukee. Like we saw Michael Pineda suspended for last year in New York. Buck Showalter comes to see.
Well, it's interesting because I saw Dan Jennings go talk to the hitting coach for the Marlins, Frankie Menachino. They had obviously seen something out on the mound. I think the discussion was more or less, should we say something? Is that some sort of substance? And obviously, with the quick 2 outs, Dan Jennings took it upon himself to bring it to the attention of the umpire.
It's going to be an awkward conversation. He's been thrown out of the game. Brian Mattis becomes the second big league pitcher this week to get thrown out of a game for a foreign substance on his arm. Mattis thrown out in a scoreless game in the 12th.
Pop foul. Dempsey comes back, runs out of room. Still 3-2. Dempsey. Tight, tense ball game, but somebody said something that tickled him.
Davey Johnson asking to look at the ball or the glove, maybe, of Jay Howell.
And they want the crew chief, Harry Wendelstedt, to come in as well. Joe West is the plate umpire. Now Lasorda wants to know what's going on. And so here's Wendelstedt, the crew chief, and he and West will examine Howell's glove, with Lasorda getting a first-hand look as well.
Well, the other night we were talking about when Alejandro Pena came in, and it did look like to be some foreign substance on the back of his glove. Maybe they're a little bit confused, or maybe he picked up Pena's glove from the bullpen. I doubt if that happened, though.
Now they're looking at the inside of the glove.
You notice Dempsey had his hand in there, and Joe West kind of slapped it out of the way.
And this comes with a count 3 balls and 2 strikes.
It's like a Norman Rockwell painting.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, as an umpire, you have to, number one, make a decision. That threw him out of the ballgame.
Yeah, look at this. Can you believe this? But obviously they've got the evidence, because that's only a very mild protest from Tommy Lasorda.
But also,
look at this. Bart Giamatti, the National League president. Now Wendelstedt is going to take the glove over to Giamatti. And that's Ed Vargo behind Giamatti, who's the supervisor of umpires. Lee Mazzilli comes over for a first-hand look.
well, to be quite honest, Al,
Former National League president Chubb Feeney there as well.
Not one pitch did anything that would make you believe that it had a foreign substance on it. I'm just talking from an umpire, and usually when you, as an umpire, you see the ball come up there, you could tell whether it's a spitter or it has Vaseline on it, because the ball will react funny. I wonder if Davey Johnson had any knowledge beforehand. I mean, usually, there you see Dempsey. Now, it's
not that funny, I don't suppose. But, I mean, Davy Johnson, I would think, would have to have knowledge beforehand before going out there to check it. There's no way that Davy's going to go out there and say that those pitches did anything differently. He just threw 5 pitches. The other night he was throwing a lot of curveballs.
Yep.
What's the indication? How did he know?
Well, that's what I'm saying. None of the balls acted funny.
No, they didn't go down. Usually, if a ball has a foreign substance, it's going to dip.
Yes. Did he throw his glove out or did he throw Hal out?
Is he out just for the game or for the playoffs?
In the regular season, he'd be suspended. I mean, that's the next question that has to be addressed here. He's thrown out of the game. Alejandro Pena will come in to pitch, but now the question becomes, what about the rest of the playoffs? And you'll recall the incident with Kevin Gross and the Joe Negro incident
last year
with Minnesota.
Of course, what brought the umpire out in the Joe Negro incident was the ball did something funny. He went out there and examined. He found the file or the nail file in the back pocket. Kevin Gross, are you familiar with that, Timmy? I don't know if he defaced the ball.
There was sandpaper. There was sandpaper in his glove.
Was the ball actually defaced?
The ball was scuffed. Yes.
Well, there's no indication of any of those things today, though.
Not from where Davy Johnson was. Joe West is out there. He called in Harry Wendelstedt, and Joe is checking the string. And it seemed that Harry went in to look for moisture, and he found it. He found something, but then he went back into the glove to look for more moisture. That might be one reason that Rick Dempsey was kind of reaching in there to take the glove away. What now, my glove?
Cheat, cheat, cheat is the chant. And this is unprecedented in that this has never happened, to my knowledge, in postseason. So now the question becomes, what about the rest of postseason action? And we'll try to get a clarification on that as soon as we can. That's Ed Vargo again behind Giamatti. Vargo is the National League Supervisor of Umpires.
Well, it's so interesting that Pena seemed to have a foreign substance on his glove on Wednesday night at Dodger Stadium. Now, I don't know if he changed gloves, but
you picked up on that the other night, and we have just been told that the Mets knew on Wednesday night that Jay Howell had pine tar in his glove, and that's why they checked it today. They obviously have not told anybody, and we just found that out, that the Mets knew on Wednesday night that Jay Howell had pine tar in his glove.
And it's a very interesting thing, too. Johnson let the inning start. Howell went 3-0, so he wasn't going to say anything. It went to 3-1, so the count was still in McReynolds' favor, and then when it got to 3-2 is when Davey came out.